Imagine this. It's the dead of winter, temperatures are brutal, and a relentless storm has just taken out the power grid. No lights, no heat, no running water, just pitch-black darkness, bone-chilling cold, and silence until the chaos begins. Experts are already warning that the upcoming winter could be one of the harshest in history, and with our aging, overloaded power grid, widespread failures aren't just possible, they're likely. We're talking rolling blackouts, homes freezing from the inside out, and families left scrambling for basic survival. Picture this nightmare lasting not just a day or two, but 90 days. 90 days without heat, power, or a way to cook a meal. Roads impassable, grocery stores empty, water frozen solid in the pipes. Life as you know it, gone. Think this sounds dramatic? It's not. When the power goes, modern life disappears, and you're on your own. The question is, will you be ready? Right now is your chance to prepare, because once the grid collapses, it's too late. But for a safe and secure future, it's time to really pick up. Stick around, because I'm breaking down the 10 must-have preps you'll need to survive the most brutal 3 months of your life. This is the one video you can't afford to skip. Number 10, community. Survive together or fall apart. Going it alone? Think you're some unshakable lone wolf who can tackle 3 months of chaos solo? You're wrong. Flat out wrong. When the grid collapses and survival gets real, isolation isn't just unwise, it can be downright deadly. Sure, self-sufficiency matters, stockpile your supplies, learn your skills, but here's the cold truth, you cannot prepare for every single scenario. You'll miss something essential, and trying to do it all by yourself, that's a straight shot to burnout. This is where a solid community becomes your ultimate survival weapon. We're not talking about random strangers, no. Your survival crew should be made up of people you know and trust. Neighbors, close friends, nearby family. When the power's out, food supplies are dwindling, and the cold is seeping through the walls, these folks are no longer just acquaintances. They're your lifeline, your survival team. But listen up, don't just welcome anyone into your group. This isn't about taking in every random Joe who shows up. It's about building a team that has the skills and grit to contribute. Think medical know-how, mechanical expertise, defensive strategies. Find people with strengths that balance out the things you don't have. Assign roles, define responsibilities. Survival isn't a free-for-all, it's teamwork. Communication should be a top priority. Forget cell phones, they'll be useless. Set up reliable methods like walkie-talkies, CB radios, or maybe a system of hand signals. This isn't casual chit-chat, this is about fast, effective coordination. When danger hits, you'll need to act as one cohesive unit, not a scattered mess. Now, resources. Sure, stocking up is smart, but guess what? The truth is, no matter how much you hoard, it'll eventually run out. Once you open up a community pooling resources, that lasts longer and has more variety. Maybe you've got months of canned food, your neighbor has a medical kit, and someone else has access to clean water. Build a barter system. Exchange. Share. Work together. And don't sugarcoat trust. It's make or weak links and sketchy people will tear your group apart. Choose carefully. Create unshakable bonds. Without trust, you're doomed from the start. Here's the kicker. It's not just about food, water, or defense. A community helps keep you sane. Laughs, shared meals, even just knowing someone has your back. That united front doesn't just survive, it thrives. Alone, you'll falter. Together, you stand a fighting chance. Number 9, food preservation. Outlast spoilage and waste. All right, listen up. Stockpiling a pantry full of food is step 1. But here's the ugly truth. Without power, your food is living on borrowed time. Those steaks in the freezer? Gone in 48 hours. Fresh produce, dairy, eggs? Rotting within days. And then what? You're left staring at spoiled food while your stomach growls. If you want to survive 90 days off the grid, you need to outsmart spoilage. First, ditch the fantasy that a few cans of beans and crackers will get you through. They won't. Survival means strategy, and strategy starts with shelf-stable foods. Think rice, lentils, beans, dried pasta, and canned proteins like tuna or chicken. These foods are your core foundation. Get them in bulk and get them now. But that's just the easy part. The real challenge? Preserving the stuff that doesn't last without a refrigerator. Learn food preservation techniques like your life depends on it, because it does. Dehydrating, pickling, fermenting. These aren't hobbies anymore, they're survival skills. Got fresh veggies or meat? Preserve them immediately. The moment the grid goes down, time is not on your side. Cheap pickling kits and canning supplies are still on store shelves. Grab them now while you can. Prices are already climbing, and once the shelves are empty, you're out of luck. When life gets out, consider root cellaring if you have the space. No, you don't need some high-end underground bunker. A cool, dark corner in your basement or a shaded closet can work wonders for vegetables like potatoes, onions, and carrots. No basement? Fine, get creative. Bury sealed containers underground to keep food cool. It sounds primitive because it is, but in a survival scenario, primitive works. That stash might save your life down the line, and quite possibly save your life down now. Oh, Neil. Robert Hall said, "Salt and vinegar will become your new best friends. Not only are they essentials for preservation, but they can also flavor food when seasoning is scarce. Buy them in bulk, store them like gold. They're that important. And while you're at it, invest in rodent-proof containers. Rats aren't just annoying, they're a threat to your survival. One tear in a bag of rice and a swarm of pests can wipe out your supplies. Get ruthless about waste. Spoiled food is wasted food, and wasted food is wasted life. Eat what you can, preserve what you can't, and compost what's left to grow more. Every scrap, every calorie, every ounce matters when there's no backup plan. This is survival. Treat it like it." Number 8. Light. Your lifeline in the darkness. When the grid fails, you're not just losing power, you're losing light. And with it, any sense of normalcy. Nights become an endless, pitch-black void. You can't see where you're going, what's around you, or worse, who's around you. This isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Darkness puts you at risk of injury, it increases your vulnerability, and it messes with your head. Trust me, the mental toll of overwhelming darkness is no joke. If you think, "Oh, I'll just light a few candles and hope for the best," think again. Survival doesn't leave room for hoping. You need a full-on lighting strategy because when the sun sets, it's game over without a way to see. Start with the basics. Battery-powered lanterns and flashlights. Stockpile batteries, and I'm not talking about grabbing a couple of multi-packs. You need hundreds. Alkaline batteries are a great option, but if you're in it for the long haul, rechargeable batteries paired with a solar charger are a win-win. And don't overlook hand-crank flashlights. They're not the easiest to use long-term, but when your batteries run out and there's no sun, those cranks will keep the lights on. And here's an underrated game changer. Headlamps. These things free up your hands and you're going to need that freedom. Whether you're repairing something, prepping food, or handling a first aid situation, a good headlamp lets you work in the dark, hassle-free. If you don't have one, get one. It's non-negotiable. Candles are another classic option. They're cheap, easy to store, and a solid backup. But don't get reckless with them. Use long-burning, unscented candles, and always keep them in fireproof containers. Got kids, pets, or just bad luck? Be extra cautious. One overturned candle can take you from power outage to house fire disaster. Looking for something more durable? Oil lamps are another choice. They provide solid lighting, but they come with safety rules. Fumes from lamp oil mean you'll need ventilation, and spilling oil is the last thing you need in a crisis. Here's a pro tip. Think in zones. Plan your lighting for specific areas like the kitchen, bathroom, sleeping spots, and a central common area. Don't waste energy lighting up unused spaces. And if you've got space and money to invest, solar-powered lights are a survival superstar. Portable solar garden lights can charge outside during the day and light your home at night. Bonus, they double as security by helping detect movement. Number 7. Sanitation isn't optional. It's survival. Sanitation isn't just about staying clean, it's the difference between staying alive and becoming a walking health hazard. You can ignore this all you want, but when the grid goes down, sewage stops flowing, trash piles up, and diseases start spreading like wildfire, you'll wish you'd made this a priority. Here's the hard truth. Lack of sanitation won't just make life uncomfortable, it'll make it deadly. Contaminated water, rotting trash, human waste piling up. All of that quickly turns your home into a breeding ground for diseases like cholera, dysentery, and worse. If you're not prepared, this won't just be a hazard, it'll be a death sentence. Step 1. Human waste. Your toilet isn't going to flush without running water. What's your plan when that porcelain throne becomes a useless relic? Start stocking heavy-duty, contractor-grade trash bags. Yes, the tough ones. Line your toilet bowl with them or set up a bucket toilet. You'll need a lot more bags than you expect, so buy in bulk. Figure out disposal before the stink and germs take over. Disposal for the stink and germs take over. If you can, bury your waste far away from any water sources, or consider building a simple outdoor latrine. Want to level up? Look into composting toilets. They aren't cheap, but they're a godsend for long-term scenarios. If cost's an issue, no problem. A bucket, some heavy-duty bags, and a stockpile of lime or sawdust to contain the smell, will do the job. Now on to trash. Garbage collection won't exist, so that pile of junk, it's your problem. Use sealed, airtight containers to store trash until it's safe to dispose of it. Better yet, start sorting what can be burned, composted, or reused. And don't dump trash indoors unless you want to breed disease and attract pests. Next is gray water. Think the leftover water from cleaning or cooking. Plan for it. Use buckets or basins to catch it, and don't just dump it wherever. Gray water can attract pests and contaminate your clean water supply if you're not careful. Save it for flushing makeshift toilets or general cleaning, but never, ever drink it. Bleach isn't just a cleaning product anymore. It's a survival tool. Stockpile it now. Disinfect surfaces, purify water, kill germs. One contaminated surface can take out your entire household. Finally, hygiene. Don't underestimate it. A small cut left untreated can spiral into a life-threatening infection. Stock up on soap, sanitizer, antiseptic wipes, and basic first aid supplies. This isn't the time to skimp. You'll thank yourself later when you avoid a trip to the ER that doesn't exist anymore. Sanitation is a daily fight. If you lose that war, you lose everything. Get your plan in place, because staying clean isn't just about comfort. It's about staying alive. Number 6. Mental fortitude. Strengthen your mind or succumb to despair. When the grid goes down, survival isn't just about food, water, or supplies. It's about your mind. Plain and simple. Mental fortitude isn't optional. It's the most critical tool you'll need when everything you've relied on disappears. Darkness, isolation, fear, and the never-ending uncertainty of what next will push you to the breaking point. Trust me, if you don't have the mental toughness to handle it, you won't last. Here's the brutal reality. Without a strong mindset, even the best preps are useless. The silence of a powerless world is deafening, and the absence of the everyday noise we take for granted, TVs, cars, conversations, turns into an oppressive void. That silence, it'll remind you of just how alone you are. And the longer it stretches, the heavier it gets. Here it is, mindsets. Many people think they'll just tough it out, but grit isn't enough. Every mistake feels bigger. Every setback feels crushing. If you're not prepared for this mental battle, you'll spiral fast. The key to surviving the grind? Routines. Establish them immediately. Whether it's gathering firewood, filtering water, or inventorying your supplies, having tasks to focus on keeps your mind engaged. It gives you structure when everything around you feels chaotic. Research backs it up. Routine builds morale, even in the darkest of times. Boredom is more dangerous than you think. It's not just annoying. It can break you. Days blur together, and without something to stimulate your mind, despair creeps in. Stock up on books, card games, puzzles, anything that keeps your brain active. Survival books are especially good. Not only do they teach valuable skills, but reading them gives you something to focus on. These simple supplies might seem unimportant now, but in a power outage world, they're lifesavers. Collect them now before they get scarce. And then there's isolation. If you're alone or even with a small group, prepare for some deep psychological challenges. People break under extreme isolation, it's a fact. If you're with others, make it a point to connect daily. Talk, play games, share tasks. Whatever it takes to keep that bond strong. Human connection isn't just helpful, it's essential. But here's the kicker. Stress changes. The calmest person today can become panicked or even erratic under pressure. Be ready for this. Establish a plan for mental breaks so everyone can regroup without creating more chaos. Stock up on tools that help maintain mental health, like mindfulness guides, calming teas, or even essential oils. Supplies like these are often overlooked in prep kits, but trust me, they make a difference when the pressure is on. Mental fortitude is non-negotiable. Every day without power will test your patience, strength, and resilience. Practice now. Embrace small discomforts and build your adaptability. Because in a long, drawn-out crisis, despair doesn't just make things harder, it kills. Outlast it. Outthink it. Your mind is your strongest weapon. Sharpen it now, or risk everything later. Number 5, medical supplies. Be your own lifeline. Here's the ugly truth. When the grid goes down, you're on your own. No hospitals, no pharmacies, no 911 to call. If you're not ready to handle medical emergencies, even something as small as a cut can get ugly fast. See that survival first aid kit you've been putting off? Yeah, it's time to get on that. This isn't about a flimsy plastic box with Band-Aids and aspirin. You need a serious kit. Stocked, prepped, and ready to go. Start with wound care, because cuts, scrapes, and burns don't take a holiday during survival mode. Grab alcohol wipes, iodine, or hydrogen peroxide for cleaning up wounds. Follow that with a strong supply of sterile gauze, medical tape, and butterfly closures to keep things in place. Make no mistake, if you skimp on wound care, you're begging for infections you can't afford to get. Speaking of infections, antibiotic ointments are non-negotiable. Buy in bulk because one tube won't cut it. Even better, if you can learn how to use sterile sutures, do it. Stitching up a wound could literally save a life when you can't head to the ER. Pain doesn't care if you're ready or not, so load up on over-the-counter painkillers like ibuprofen and acetaminophen. And don't stop there. Antihistamines for allergies, anti-diarrheal pills, and electrolyte packets are essentials most people forget. Dehydration from illness can kill faster than you think. A stash of those little electrolyte packs can be the difference between recovery and disaster. What about chronic conditions? Don't gamble with your life. If you or someone in your household relies on daily medication, say for blood pressure, diabetes, or asthma, talk to your doctor now about getting an extended supply. Insulin? You'll want solar-powered coolers or insulated bags to keep it viable. If you think improvising refrigeration later will be easy, you're fooling yourself. Oh, and don't forget about illnesses like bacterial infections or food poisoning. Pharmacies will be out of reach, so consider alternatives like fish antibiotics. Yes, they're the same as human-grade antibiotics. Do your homework on doses and buy them while you still can. But don't get reckless. Improper use could cost you in the long run. Finally, knowledge is power. Learn basic medical skills like CPR, wound stitching, splinting, and more. If professional help isn't coming, you are the medic. Get hands-on training now or invest in survival medical guides. Preparation isn't just about the supplies you have, it's about what you know. Anything can happen in 90 days without power. If you're not ready to take charge of your health and safety, you're setting yourself up for failure. Supplies save lives, but only if you know how to use them. Number 4. Water. Stockpile, purify, and guard your lifeline. Water isn't a luxury, it's survival, period. Without it, you won't last more than a few days. Think your taps will keep flowing when the grid goes down? Think again. Municipal systems rely on power for pumping and treatment. When that power's out, so is your water, or worse, it could come out filthy and dangerous. You need a plan, right now. Step 1, stockpile. Start with at least 1 gallon per person per day for 90 days. Don't do the math in your head, grab a calculator. That's a lot of water. Sure, bottled water is a decent start, but it won't cut it for the long haul. Go bigger. Invest in serious storage. Water tanks, barrels, or even rainwater collection systems. Food-grade plastic containers will do the job too. Fill every single one you can. But here's the catch. Water goes bad. That stash in the back of your closet? It's not going to stay pristine forever. Rotate your supply regularly, keep it sealed, and store it away from light to avoid algae blooms. A single crack in a container could ruin the whole batch, so inspect everything often. Step 2. Purify. Even the cleanest-looking water can kill you if it's contaminated. Get yourself a high-quality multi-stage water filter, one that can handle bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and even chemical pollutants. Gravity-fed filters like Berkey or Katadyn? Absolutely worth it. But don't stop there. Buy water purification tablets, unscented bleach, and iodine. Learn the exact ratios for chemical treatments because one mistake can poison your entire supply. Step 3. Get ready to treat raw water. Nearby streams, rivers, or lakes might look like a solution, but they're loaded with invisible dangers like animal waste and industrial pollutants. Always assume wild water is unsafe until you boil, filter, and purify it. Invest in tools like a rocket stove or solar oven to boil water without relying on electricity. Make sure you have sturdy, heat-safe containers, because if you can't boil it, you can't drink it. Lastly, guard your stash. Water will be worth more than gold in a crisis. People who didn't prepare will come looking for yours. Keep it hidden, keep it secure, and be ready to protect it. Water isn't just a resource, it's your survival. Stock it, purify it, and protect it like your life depends on it, because it absolutely does. Number 3, fortify your home or become a target. Here's the hard truth. When society starts to break down, the line between friend and enemy vanishes. Resources like food, water, and basic supplies become worth killing for. If you think you can coast through a survival crisis with a deadbolt and blind optimism, you're kidding yourself. Your home isn't just a place to sleep anymore. It's your last line of defense. Either fortify it or paint a target on your back. First order of business, secure your entry points like your life depends on it, because it does. Every door, window, and weak spot in your home is an invitation to danger. Replace flimsy locks with deadbolts and add reinforcement like door bars. Windows? Forget those fragile glass panes. Install steel security bars or at least heavy-duty plywood. And blackout curtains? They're not just decor, they keep your home invisible after dark. Light spilling out of your house at night might as well be a neon, "Come rob me" sign. Next, alarms. Forget the fancy high-tech systems, even the simplest solutions work. Tripwires, cans filled with rocks or battery-operated alarms can alert you to intruders. Want a power-free option? Build noise traps. Anything that lets intruders know you'll know they're coming. Solar-powered alarms are another great choice, but they're getting pricier. Lock these down before demand takes over. But whether it's cans rattling or an alarm shrieking, that's just your warning it's not time to relax. You need tools. And no, I'm not just talking about guns. From pepper spray to bats, from crowbars to whistles, every second you can buy to prepare is a second that could save your life. And if you do own firearms, train. Owning a gun won't mean a thing if you freeze when you need it most. Train. We need to train like monsters. Defensive drills are non-negotiable. Practice an intrusion plan with your family. Have a safe room with sturdy locks, supplies, and a way to communicate. Survival is not a solo game. Team up with your neighbors. Fortify your entire area. Start a neighborhood watch and make your block look impossible to breach. A group of united, prepared individuals is far less enticing to a would-be intruder than a lone, unprepared home. Here's the ugly truth. When desperation sets in, your home will either be your stronghold or someone else's treasure chest. Build, reinforce, and prepare for the long haul. A well-guarded house isn't just about keeping people out. It's about ensuring you stay alive. Number 1. Communication. Stay connected or get left in the dark. When the grid goes down, communication is the first thing to disappear. No more news broadcasts, no more scrolling for updates, no one telling you what's coming next. That isolation? It's not just inconvenient, it's lethal. Without information, you're flying blind in a world where every move counts. Miss a weather alert, overlook a local threat, or fail to track resources and you're signing your own death warrant. The solution? Get ahead of the curve. Your communication prep starts with a no-excuses essential, an emergency radio. Battery-powered or hand-cranked, these devices pull in critical updates like NOAA weather alerts. Go for a solar-powered option if you can afford it. Batteries don't last forever, and in a long-term blackout, you're going to need something reliable. Prices are ramping up as smart people snatch these up, so locking one down now is a must. The weather doesn't stop for a power outage. Tornadoes, floods, wildfires, they'll still find you if you're not paying attention. Radios are great, but they're just a start. You need two-way communication. Enter walkie-talkies. These little lifesavers are essential for staying connected with your group without relying on cell towers or Wi-Fi. Choose long-range models, especially if you're in a rural area. And here's the kicker. Don't just buy them and toss them in a drawer. Learn to use them. Practice communicating. Set up codes for keeping it discreet. And make sure everyone in your group knows the plan. The best of the best would be a mix of the two. Want to take it up a notch? Ham radios. These bad boys connect you to other survivalist or emergency operators over massive distances. Yeah, they're more complicated, and yes, you'll need a license to use one right now. But in a true collapse, those rules might go out the window. The real challenge is learning how to use them before you need them. Don't procrastinate. Prices and demand are already climbing. pod4.dash/prices-protocols and demand are already climbing. By pod4.dash/price, get your setup, get a guidebook, and get practicing. And don't underestimate old-school signals. Flares, whistles, mirrors. These are simple and effective when everything else fails. Walkie-talkies can die, radios can break, but these basic tools are foolproof. Stock up and keep them handy. Here's the bottom line. Information is power. If you don't know what's coming, you're already behind the curve. Prepare your communication systems now, because when you're deep into a 90-day blackout, staying informed won't just be smart. It'll be the difference between survival and disaster.